Okay. Hey, everyone. So I want to start by saying thank you. This is a genuine thank you to everybody in this room for coming to hear me talk. And I actually mean that. I'm really grateful you've taken the time to come and listen to me. As part of that gratitude, I bought chocolate. Who wants chocolate? Yay. Some that way. Whee! You at the back there, I can't throw that far, but I've got plenty here. Come get some more later. Now, it probably seems strange starting by saying thank you. Usually we round off with thank you. But I wanted to thank you for two reasons. One, it makes you happy because you feel like you're appreciated and you got chocolate. But also it makes me happy. Funnily enough, saying thank you makes me happy. And I want to talk today about how saying thanks can improve workplace culture. But before I can do this, I need to start talking about what is happiness. So a question to the audience, what is happiness? This is the bit where you answer. What is happiness? Anyone?
Water park.
Sorry?
Water park.
Water parks is happiness. When you smile is happiness, yep. Anyone, anything else? A good martini. Neurochemicals, yes. Happiness is a drug. Yes, the gentleman there knows the answer. Happiness is a drug. Happiness is actually lots of drugs. But there's two drugs in particular I want to talk about. I want to talk about dopamine and oxytocin. Everyone heard of those? Dopamine, oxytocin? Okay. So we start with dopamine. Dopamine is the reward drug. This is the high you get when you get the thing. Who supports a sports team of some description? Yeah, you know what it's like when they win or they score the thing at sports ball? You go, yes! That's the dopamine hit. Dopamine comes really from sort of the evolutionary process of things like getting food, hunting. You go out, you catch your food, you're happy because you've caught the food. You get that kind of reward buzz. It's also what drives gambling addiction. You get that buzz because you win, and then you keep wanting that buzz. Dopamine can be quite addictive. It wears off really quickly. You have that high of your team scores a goal, scores a try, and then 2 minutes later, like, oh, they're rubbish. It wears off very quickly. And you build up a tolerance to it. So you need more dopamine, more winning of the thing. You know, I got a dopamine hit because I did a small bit of extreme sports. Now I must jump off the building. You build up that tolerance. And again, over time, you get that tolerance building up, building up. Who's got kids? Young kids? You know the joy of a small child. It's like, Daddy, I found a rock. Can I keep it? Yes, you can. This is the best day ever! You don't get that as a kid, as an adult. It's like, yeah, it's a rock, whatever. But that's because you've built up this tolerance to dopamine over time. You need more, you need more. And unfortunately, dopamine leads to an addiction. You've got to have more dopamine. You've got to do more, you've got to do more. People who are like addicted to gambling, it's because of that dopamine hit. It's because they built up the addiction. Now, the other drug on the other side is oxytocin, the love drug. Yes. So who's in love? It can be with me, that's fine. Anyone in love? Yes. Yeah, we're all in love with something. Yes. So the important question, what is love? It is oxytocin. Now, I was half expecting someone to go, baby, don't hurt me when I said that. So, yeah, love is oxytocin. Oxytocin is the drug in your brain that makes you happy. And it makes you happy due to commitment, due to closeness. When you're in love with someone, like romantic love with a partner, it is oxytocin that drives that. You think about that first kiss, when you've been circling around a partner, you met, and the first kiss, dopamine, that long-running connection, oxytocin. It's part of what bonds us to children. During pregnancy, levels of oxytocin in a woman increase over time, and just before childbirth, they get a massive oxytocin hit. And this drives contractions, it drives the production of breast milk, it drives the passing of the placenta. If anyone here has had a kid, they may have got an oxytocin injection after childbirth to help push the placenta out. And it increases that bonding. You can almost think of oxytocin as like the bonding drug. But it's not just with kids. Who's got a pet? When you hug your pet, you hug your dog, you hug your cat, you get the oxytocin hit. It's also part of tribal bonding. When we as tribes historically, or even now as communities, we get together, we feel that closeness with each other, that happiness being around our people, that is all down to oxytocin. So oxytocin drives this happiness. But what's really, really cool about oxytocin is you don't build up a tolerance to it. You don't need more oxytocin. You don't need to be more in love with your partner year after year after year. You just need a base level, and that keeps you happy. Now, what does all this have to do with workplace culture? Well, what would you rather have in your team at work? Would you rather have a team fueled by dopamine or oxytocin? Who reckons dopamine? Who reckons oxytocin? Yeah, that's kind of a lead question, wasn't it? So when you think about the kind of teams that are driven by dopamine, the classic example is sales. So I do apologize to anybody in this room who is commission-based sales, but I despise the concept of commission-based sales. Because quite simply, you're encouraging risk-reward. You're encouraging a dopamine-fueled behavior. If I sell the thing to somebody, I get commission. And that addictive nature of dopamine, that drive of dopamine, will cause you to sell the thing, even if it's not the right thing to do. Now, this is an engineering conference. I assume we're all engineers. Who here has worked in a company where a salesperson has sold the thing that hasn't even been built yet? Yeah, we've all had that, haven't we? Your manager comes in one day, you have to build this thing because they've sold it, and it's due in 3 months' time, and if you don't work evenings and weekends, you're not a team player. Screw that. That is not good culture. That is people driven by that dopamine here. That is very, very bad for corporate culture. I despise the idea of having people driven by dopamine. Instead, what you want in your team, you want oxytocin. You want oxytocin to bond people. You want to bring people together. You want everyone to feel closeness, feel part of a tribe, and have a happy, engaged workforce. So how do you do it? How do you get oxytocin flowing in the team? 2 words. Those 2 words are not illegal drugs, before anyone says anything. Those 2 words are thank you. It has actually been shown that gratitude can increase oxytocin, and it can be an incredibly important part of workplace culture. The very act of being genuinely thankful for something increases the level of oxytocin. This isn't just mumbo-jumbo. This is proper peer-reviewed science. If you have a culture of gratitude, you get increased levels of oxytocin. That makes you happy. That makes you bond with people. So gratitudes are great for bringing a workplace culture of happiness, of bonding. And it's all down to essentially public acts of thanking somebody. It's not just someone does something, cheers mate, appreciate that. It is proper, genuine, public thanks. So you very publicly thank people for doing things. And not in a manager-led meeting where, today I'm very thankful for my CEO for not firing me. None of that kind of nonsense. It's bringing a culture where when somebody helps you, supports you, just by doing their day job, you say to them, thank you. I appreciate what you did. If you can build this culture, if it just becomes part of your day-to-day life of thank you for what you did, then it makes you a much happier workforce. And there's some great tools that can help do this. So up until December 2017, I lived in New Zealand. I was working for a company out there called eRoad, and they rolled out a system called Bonusly. Other systems are available that do the same kind of thing. But the principle of Bonusly was a micro-bonus system. So everyone gets 200 points every month. At the end of the month, you lose what's left, you get another 200 points. Managers get more, up the chain get more and more. And when somebody does something that's nice, you thank them with points. So a tester sits with you, works through a scenario you hadn't tested, and you help fix the problem. Thank you very much, here's 50 points. You've written a scathing email complaining about commission-based sales, and you ask your manager to review it before you get fired. Thanks, here's 20 points. Yeah, someone goes and does the lunch run. Thanks, here's 10 points. Whatever. It encourages you to thank people. And the way the system is implemented is with a public leaderboard. So you see on big monitors all around the office a live feed of the thanks that people are giving. And it produces an interesting shift in culture. You see people thanking. OK, that's quite cool. You then realise the impact other people have. You start getting into it. You start thanking people. And there's a noticeable lift in the company. The thing with eRoad at the time is they'd had some profit warnings and money wasn't coming in, and they had to let some people go. And there was a bit of a lull in the company. And by implementing this, they actually managed to lift up the company. And they made it very, very public. By doing this stuff very publicly, it just becomes part of your culture. You know, 1 or 2 people do it. They see it on the board. Oh, I should do this. Everyone does it. They get happier, they get happier, they get happier. It leads this much happier workplace. And what's really cool about this micro-bonus idea is it's very small bonuses. This 200 points is worth 20 New Zealand dollars, or a tenner, in UK money. So it's not enough money that people are trying to get thanked to get the money. There's no dopamine hit. It's like, oh, I got thanked, I got 20 points. Because it's not enough to get that big dopamine hit. Instead, you just get this kind of happy feeling that somebody has said thank you to you. And as well as making everybody happy about each other, thinking about each other's contributions, thinking about how genuinely thankful they are, you also start to see more visibility about other people's contributions. It kind of drives happiness by making you aware of what people are doing and make people aware of what you are doing. So one example was a woman on my team, Helen. Phenomenal tester. Absolutely phenomenal tester. Quiet as a mouse. Wouldn't say boo to a goose. Hid away in the corner. The kind of tester who'd wander over and say, I think it's a mistake on my side. I think I've done something wrong. But I tested this thing here, and this bit over here is broken. And you're like, yeah, that's nothing to do with me. What are you talking about? You know nothing. And then she steps you through that this system talks to this system, talk to this. And you realize, yeah, I screwed up with this bit here, and I wouldn't have known this without you. Thanks, Helen. I appreciate what you've done. Here's 50 points. Now, these are the kind of contributions she was making every single day. But no one was seeing these contributions because she was so quiet. Suddenly, 2 weeks of the system being in place, she's top of the leaderboard. She's made double the number of points as anybody else. And the CEO, who knew who she was, because it's a small company, suddenly starts taking notice of like, damn, you are amazing. What do we need to do to spread your skills around? How can we support you? And so suddenly she was a lot happier because she thought she was just not doing a great job. And suddenly she's realized that the whole company appreciates the amazing contribution she makes, and this is seen at all levels. So these kind of tools, this visibility on thanks, can bring this amazing culture of happiness. So I'm just going to wrap up here, it's a short lightning talk after all, with one simple call to action. Start thanking people today. Find a way to make this part of your culture. When somebody is helpful for you, someone does something, even if it's just a day job, say thank you. If somebody supports you, say thank you. Next time Philip sits down with me for coffee when I'm in Redmond and talks me through some of the plans around F Sharp, thank you. I do appreciate the work that you do. So start thanking people today. And with that, thank you once again. I'm Jim Bennett. You can find me on Twitter @JimBobBennett. And there's chocolate here. Come at the end. Help yourself. Thank you.